Hey there, welcome back to Don't Waste the Chaos. I'm your host, Kerri Roberts, and today we're diving into a topic that frankly we cannot afford to overlook: employee wellness and well-being. There's been a huge shift in the last few years when it comes to how businesses think about employee wellness. It's not just about gym reimbursements or the occasional catered healthy lunch anymore. Companies that want to retain top talent and build strong teams are taking a more holistic approach. Mental, physical, and financial wellness all play a role in an employee's ability to show up, perform well, and thrive in their role. So today, we're going to unpack a few things like what holistic employee wellness really means, how I approach benefits for my own team at my consulting firm, Salt and Light Advisors, and then a quick practical financial well-being training that you can offer your employees because financial stress is one of the biggest burdens people bring to work every day. I see this in the data when I'm reading my HR news feeds every day. Financial wellness is a huge issue, keeping people from being productive at work because of the strain. So let's jump in. So what does holistic employee wellness and well-being look like? We've all seen companies that treat employee wellness as an afterthought. Honestly, I'd say most companies do this. A dusty old poster in the break room about flu shots, a wellness program that's really just a check in the box on the corporate initiative list. But here's the thing. True employee wellness isn't about isolated perks. It's about giving an environment where people can actually flourish. So let's think about it like a three-legged stool. The first is mental well-being. The second is physical well-being. And the third being financial well-being. So mental well-being. We're thinking about burnout, stress, and anxiety. If your employees are drowning in stress, they're not going to be their best. And if you didn't listen to my episode before with Karen Brooks about the difference between stress and anxiety, I highly recommend you go back and do so because she breaks that down in a way that I feel like most people don't know already. But we all know that whether it's stress or anxiety that we're constantly dealing with, people aren't going to be at their best. So mental well-being initiatives might include access to therapy, stress management tools, flexible work schedules, or even just fostering a culture where people feel safe to talk about challenges. And I think in general, most organizations would be like, yeah, I believe in all of those things, but are you actually acting on it? Now, one of the things I want to talk about when it comes to mental well-being is the employee assistance program. A lot of health insurances come with access to an EAP, an employee assistance program. If you don't know off the top of your head, if yours does, you should go look right now. Look at your plan benefits, or if you don't want to dig into that, you're actually paying money to an insurance broker and they should do the legwork for you on that. So go ahead and shoot them a quick email. And by the way, and you might have heard me preach on this before, but if you can't think of your insurance broker's name off the top of your head, they're not a good one, because that means they're not reaching out to you with regularity, and they should be, because they've got tons of free tools and resources because you pay for likely a health insurance plan. And if you do, they've got free tools and resources that you could be utilizing, and they're just sitting on them. And so reach out to them and ask them what they've got. I would specifically reach out to them when it comes to the EAP and say, what's available in my plan? And if something's not available in my plan, what can we do to add it? Or what does that look like? Or the insurance carrier that I work with, what do they have access to that I'm not currently taking advantage of? So let's say the traditional EAP has access to like 3 therapy visits. Most employees are like, I do not want to go into my HR department and say, can I get my 3 therapy appointments? Like, what does that look like? What does it look like if I go past my 3 visits? Like, how do I do this? As your HR person or your office manager, or if you're the CEO and you're not paying for an HR person or an office manager to execute on this process for you, you should at least hire a consultant to do that. But you need to sit down and take a look at what's available. Then I would put together a 1-pager to put out in your regular employee newsletter if you have the one. If you don't, on your HR payroll system, make sure it's visible there. I would talk about it in team meetings as a benefit. I would bring it up with regularity. If I were you and really wanted to champion this, I would go use that service myself and then talk about it to remove some of the stigma that comes along with mental health. Like, let's just jump in and use the benefits and then talk about them with our team members and how easy they are to utilize and the exact step by step. waiting for someone to ask you about it and then you trying to figure it out with them is not the answer, right? Like that doesn't make it a true benefit. Your employees are working for you and they're not like digging into plan summaries. And you might argue, yeah, me neither, because I don't understand them. Well, you're paying an arm and a leg for your insurance policy that likely comes with this program. And so it's up to you to be a good steward with your resources and make sure you're using everything that you've got access to. Okay, so that's mental well-being. We're just jumping in and talking about therapy, stress management tools, considering flexible work schedules, and just making sure that our culture is one where we can feel safe talking about challenges. And as a leader, the number one way you can make it safe for people to talk about challenges is by you being open and transparent and leading the way in this direction. Okay, so the next prong of that three-leg stool I was mentioning is physical well-being. This is more than just encouraging people to drink more water, even though that's a great way to start. I had a person send me this and I love this. This is my Hydro Jug. I'm not sponsored by them. A lot of people have Stanleys. Like tons of people have their water bottles now. So I'm not saying you need to go out and buy a company logo water bottle, but maybe you do. Or maybe when it comes to water, if you don't have, some people use Culligan machines, reverse osmosis water is best. And so if you can have somebody come in and install a reverse osmosis filter on your water inside of your organization, that would be awesome. Then they can use their tap water, like your tap water out of your sink, as their filtered water for their drinks. And you just need to put up a little sign in your break room or articulate that and make sure you let new people know. I'd also recommend if you've got an ice maker, you run that RO filter to your ice maker. So that way you're not getting like your good filtered water, but then your ice is crap. Most ice makers are moldy and dirty, and I don't necessarily recommend using them, but I do love good ice, right? Like we all do. So running your reverse osmosis system to that is a great start. If you've got people working from home, maybe it's challenges around drinking water. Maybe you've got tracking around that. Maybe it's an app. Maybe you're just encouraging people. Maybe you send people either glass or metal or cardboard boxed water to their home every once in a while to reinforce that. There's a lot of different things you can do. Literally, that's just on drink more water. And that was just like off the top of my head, some simple things that you can do. A good wellness strategy considers movement, nutrition, sleep, and preventative care. So if you have a physically demanding workforce, how are you supporting recovery and injury prevention? If you had a sedentary team, how are you encouraging movement? If you haven't already, go back and listen to, I have an episode that I recorded with a guy named Paul Cruson, and he's got a company called Peak Ergonomics, but he does far more than ergonomics assessments. He works a lot with organizations that have OSHA reportables or OSHA requirements in their organization. He has some great tips and tricks. Their website has a ton of resources. There's a ton of resources out there. If I were you, I would get onto OpenAI right now and type in, what are some things around mental and physical well-being that I could offer my employee population that have little to no cost? Or my budget around this is $1,000. What are some things that I could do? Maybe you could surprise people with having something at the beginning of spring or the beginning of summer on their desk, encouraging movement. But when we're thinking about our wellness strategy, I would say this is far beyond like, oh, we offer health insurance. And I've got an axe to grind with that. And I'll get into that a little bit more. But let's look at the different prompts. Like, what can I do around movement? Whether we've got challenges, whether we carve out 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon where people go outside and take walking breaks and you're encouraging that and you do it as a leader to model that behavior. Maybe you've got a gym that you've got partnerships with. For my team, I put $350 into a lifestyle spending account. If you're watching me on video, I wear an Oura ring, OURA, all the time. And I'll actually drop a code for $40 off in the show notes if you want to use my code for that. But I put $350 into a lifestyle spending account. And so my employees can use that for an Oura ring or for other things. And I'll get more into what that looks like. But I think that that's a great way that I can help promote movement. But far beyond movement, these Oura rings track sleep. They even track menstrual cycles, heart rate variability, oxygen tracking, your cardio age, all kinds of things. So like, let's think about what we can do inside of the movement box. And then let's think about nutrition. If you are ordering in food or you provide some kind of snacks, I would focus on healthy snacks, healthy orderings. When I was the COO at an organization, when I would order things like a bunch of different smoothies, and they'd have to bring them in like an ice tray, but a bunch of different miniature smoothies, and then either salads or pita sandwiches to go with that, because I knew, could I order pizza? Yeah. And I love pizza, y'all. I make it all the time at home. But when I'm providing lunch at work, we all know what that afternoon slump looks like anyway. If you're somebody who requires your folks to be in office, or they need to be because of their line of work. And so let's at least give them something healthy and nourishing. And if you're wanting to put out snacks, I would put out little miniature, like Justin's almond butter or peanut butter packages, and apples, and maybe even cut up the apples so they're easier to eat. There's tons of things that we can do on the nutrition side. And then also maybe for lunch and learns, bringing in somebody who can come in and talk about nutrition and wellness. A lot of times nutritionists are happy to do that for free because maybe they can get clients out of that by informing your employee population. So we're wanting to consider, when it comes to physical well-being, movement. We've talked about nutrition. Let's talk about sleep a little bit. There's so many people that wear lack of sleep like a badge of honor, and I am poo-pooing on that every single day. The older that I've gotten, and I'm 42 at the time of recording this episode, I've learned that I used to think like 8 hours of sleep was good, but the more research I see, 9 to 10 hours is good for a woman. Less than that is good for a man. Now, of course, like if we're ill, we all need more rest, but just in general, more sleep is better for women. And I'm sure if you're a female listening to this, you're like, oh, haha, like I'm a woman. Maybe I have kids. I've got other responsibilities. I can't sleep like that. Encouraging people and educating people on why this matters and why this is important, like it's huge. And helping with things like I said, my Aura Ring tracks sleep. And then I share my sleep tracking with my husband, but I'd happily do it with any other colleagues, friends. Maybe you want to share your data with me on the Aura Ring and we can become friends on there. I love to see like how other people are moving and how they're resting and all of their data, because it brings out some competition in me and makes me want to do better. And then also preventative care. I am not someone who's really big on the flu vaccination and things like that. Some organizations are, and they hold vaccination clinics where a nurse will come in and they'll provide vaccinations on site. That's not something I'm comfortable with, but I do talk to my team about other preventative measures that we can do when it comes to physical well-being. So these are all like really important to focus on, but things that a lot of times we just don't because we're focused on the work. For example, my husband recently, he's 46 years old and he recently had a pulmonary embolism. One of the first things that another leader on his team did was send a link for a stand-up desk. And she was like, if you don't have one of these, you should get one. We both had them at our corporate careers back when they were first really popular. And then we've kind of gotten away from them. I personally don't need one because I stand up every single hour since I work from home. I'm up and down. I have my dogs sometimes here on the bed next to my desk, or they're in the other room. And so I get up and down, let them in and out. I go outside, I walk, but my husband, his office is in a loft in a shed back behind our house. So he's not moving as often. So he got this beautiful bamboo stand-up desk. I absolutely love it. And I just went up to his office over lunch to check it out. And it's beautiful and aesthetic, but it works really, really well. And he's, of course, he bought the arms so that way his monitors weren't sitting directly on his desk like mine are. They're attached to these arms so that way it's easier when you move it up and down, not to have like the wobbly monitors that are on your desk. But just informing people, maybe you don't want to pay for that at your organization. Maybe you'd give $100 toward it. Maybe you'd give $500 toward it. For me, I'll give $350 a year and you can use that however you want. But there's a number of things we can do just to inform and educate, or have lunch and learns. You know, we all want to have, I mentioned that with the nutritionist, but you could have anybody come in, the ergonomic specialist that I mentioned, or anybody come in and talk about what it looks like to be sedentary and how to encourage movement. Or if you've got a more demanding job, how are you recovering from that and what injury prevention looks like? So bringing in professionals to focus on physical well-being, keeping that at the forefront and letting your people know you care about it. The third prong of the stool. So we've talked about mental well-being. We've talked about physical well-being. The third one is financial well-being. This is a big one, and it's often the most overlooked. And the most recent data that I saw said that over 60% of Americans are reporting that financial stress affects their ability to focus at work. I'm going to say that again. Over 60% of Americans report that financial stress affects their ability to focus at work. Why is that? You can think about it for yourself, right? This is affecting you. I don't care at what tax bracket you're at, you're thinking about money. I'm thinking about money. We're all thinking about money because that's, whether for the good or for the bad, unfortunately, the way the world goes round. And because we are distracted by our financial situation, our bills, where the money is going to come from, how we want to take our kid on a vacation, but we don't have the funds for it, whatever it is, we are stressed about money and we're bringing that into the workplace. So helping employees feel more in control of their finances, whether that's through fair pay, compensation data studies, or even just through education or financial tools, this can be a game changer for your workplace. The companies that get this right don't just see happier employees, they see higher engagement, better retention, and stronger performance. And I'm going to get into like a little mini training at the end of this episode, just to give you an idea of maybe just a little session that you could do with your employees around financial well-being. Okay, next, I want to talk about how I support my team's well-being and what tools that I use. So how do I apply this in my own business? When I started Salt and Light Advisors, I knew I wanted to offer meaningful benefits to my team, even as a small business. And I've been in organizations with 20,000 employees with monster health insurance plans. I've been at smaller organizations like 50 employees, and we've had a more unique health plan. And here's what I would say in general. I'm just going to be honest. I think health insurance is a racket in a lot of different ways. There are so many hands in the cookie jar. And I know I've had benefits brokers on here, and I've got partnerships with benefits brokers. And for some organizations, that's the right way to go. If you have more than 50 employees, then you need to offer a traditional medical plan. The federal government is just saying that you have to right now, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, that's what you've got to do. And so I would recommend, if you're going that route or if you're required to go that route, to work with a benefits broker that is literally hustling for you and your business. If you're a large organization, then all of the big players are going to give you great service. If you are a smaller organization, let's say under 100 people, but specifically if you've got under 50 people, a lot of benefits brokerages, let me just give you a little peek behind the curtain. What they're doing is an excellent job during the sales cycle, or at least they should be, to get your business, and they're getting you on board. And then because you don't bring in a ton of money for them, they're just renewing you on your current plan. And it looks something like, well, this year you've got an 18% renewal, but that's pretty average for my clients. And you say, well, that's pretty average. So I guess I just need to go with the flow if that's pretty average. Here's what you should be asking. Did you take us to market? And what I mean by that is, if you have one of the big plans, let's say a BUCA, so Blue Cross, United Healthcare, Cigna, Anthem, like one of the Aetna, one of the bigger plans, did they try to find you an alternative plan? Maybe ask them, should I be partially self-funded? Is there a captive I should be a part of? What about an ICHRA plan? Is there anything else that's unique that you haven't talked to me about? Because you maybe think I'm adverse to that, or, that's just a path we haven't walked down. Is there something else you haven't talked to me about? Is there another option? Just ask the question. They should be bringing this up to you. Again, a good benefits broker just going to bring these alternative and unique plans up to you. And maybe that's outside of your risk tolerance. Maybe you're not comfortable with that. Maybe that's too abstract. Maybe not this year, maybe next. So if not a unique plan, then you need to ask them, did you take me to market? And if they say, no, we only do that every other year, let them know that's not good enough for you, that you want to be taken to market. If you have anything above a 10% increase year over year, you want to be taken to the marketplace. You want to be hearing what other plans can offer you. And, they should be coming back to you and not just sending you a spreadsheet being like, here's what we got. They should be saying, okay, you're on this United Healthcare plan, so you could save X dollars if you move to this other plan, or they're pretty much the same style. So let's talk about inside of your current plan. If you're wanting to have more savings, you can either pass on some fees to your employees, or we can increase your deductibles, or we can change your pharmaceutical benefits, or what have you. There's things that you can do if you're needing to from a financial perspective, or if you're like, I want to give better coverages to my people, or we have an investment that we can make in this, let your broker know that. They should be asking you prompting questions, but if they're not, let them know that, and they can find something unique for you. They also should be providing you with benefits guides, so that way you can go to your employee population and give them information. Now, benefits guides could be a printed guide. It could be videos. It could be online resources with the insurance carrier. But if they're saying, go to this website and learn more, no. Give me something that's easy. This is your job, insurance brokerage. This is not my job. This is what I pay you for. And just to let you know, it doesn't look like you're necessarily paying them, the brokerage. It looks like you're paying the insurance carrier, but then the carrier pays the brokerage. So they are getting money. And I know you know this, but like, it's good money, okay? It's good money that they're getting from the dollars that you're spending with that insurance carrier. So ask them to help you, push back, make them tell you that they're not going to provide you with those resources. And that just gives you a good feeling when you tell them that you're kicking them to the curb. So let's say that you want to move from your current insurance broker to another one. This seems like a huge, giant hassle. And let me tell you, the incumbent, the next insurance broker, can make this a lot easier for you. So they're going to ask you for some things like census and what your current coverages are, and you're going to go track that information down. Now, hopefully you've already got that. If you have to ask your current broker for that, they are going to know that you are shopping around. And what they can do is block you in the market so they can go get updated quotes for you. And that insurance carrier will already be working with them on your quotes, so they won't give quotes to another broker. There's some tricky kind of behind the scenes that go on with this. And I mean, you have to know this, right? They're working for you, they're salespeople. And so if you're wanting help going down that path, you can work with a consultant like my firm to kind of get around some of that, or you can just be honest and they're caught not doing the work for you. A lot of times, you're just letting them renew the plan. And then within a couple of years, you're like, dang, I keep getting a 12% increase, an 18% increase. Is anyone going to help us? Ask them, give them the opportunity. And if they don't, then move on to another. And I've got partnerships with specifically one brokerage that I am a huge believer in. I've converted a lot of different clients over to them, and they have not failed me time and time again. They've beat on cost, but they've really, really beat on service. And that's what I'm recommending for you. So I am a very small organization, so I could provide traditional health benefits to my employees, but I have opted out of that. I use something called Beanstalk benefits, to where it's a lifestyle spending account. Most of us have heard of healthcare spending accounts, an HSA, or a flexible spending account, an FSA. And those have greater regulatory requirements when it comes to how your employees can spend the money. When it comes to Beanstalk benefits, I put things on there like, let's say, Magic Mind, which is something that I utilize. I put Gym, which is my vitamins. I put Aura Rings on there. They can spend the money on a lot of different things. They could use any care that's not covered inside of a traditional medical plan, like maybe some things around infertility, or maybe some therapy, some teen coaching. There's tons of stuff that they can do, attorney's fees. There's tons of stuff that they can take the money and utilize it for. And if you are an employer that has under 50 employees, you aren't required by law to provide the traditional healthcare plans. But the cool thing is, what I offer through Beanstalk is my employees can go in to the marketplace through Stride Health, and they can elect in an individual plan themselves. And guess what? Those are so much more affordable than what they could get if we had an insured plan. It's amazing. Like, a lot of these plans are around $70. You can get dental plans, traditional healthcare, vision plans, and a lot of these plans are so much more affordable. It's kind of like if you went to a hospital and you got an MRI and you said you were self-pay versus insurance, which is why I think all of this is going to be revolutionized, at least hopefully in the next decade. I'd love it for for it to be sooner than that. But when you go self-pay, it's magically cheaper somehow than when you have insurance in a lot of instances. And so I provide the money and then they can go get an individual plan if they want. Now, it just so happens that my current group of employees all have a spouse in which they're covered on the spouse's plan. And so then I still give my employees the same amount of money and they can go use that for whatever it is that they want. And so Beanstalk specifically is a benefits provider designed for small and growing businesses. They offer flexibility, meaning I can actually give my team the benefits they'll use and value rather than just a one size fits all package. Beanstalk also comes along larger organizations to provide some additional ancillary benefits like I was talking about. So let's say you're a large firm and you already have a traditional plan, but you want to provide something above and beyond. You can put money in these lifestyle spending accounts, and then your employees can go and get their infertility treatments or some additional therapies or things like that outside of the traditional healthcare coverage. So it's just an additional benefit that you can offer, which is awesome. So here's specifically what I love about it. It's customizable. So I can tailor benefits to my team's needs, whether it's health insurance, retirement savings, or even wellness stipends. It's affordable. So as a small business, I don't have the deep pockets that like a Fortune 500 company would have, but Beanstalk helps me provide benefits that actually make a difference without breaking the bank for my company. That means I can pay better instead of having to worry about that total compensation package. And it's also very employee centric. So my team members have access to clear, straightforward benefits, removing the usual stress and confusion that can come along with some corporate benefits programs. I share this because I know a lot of business owners struggle with offering benefits that are both impactful and affordable. So if that's you, I highly recommend that you check out Beanstalk. Your employees and your retention rates will thank you. And I will make sure to link in the show notes how to connect with them. And I'm happy to do a warm introduction and even walk you through what it means specifically for your organization and what I would recommend for you in that space. That way you're not going through them and their sales platform. Okay, so let's talk about the financial well-being. I'm going to give you a really quick training. This is one of the bigger stressors that employees face, as I had mentioned, but it's also one of the easiest areas where we as business leaders can make a real impact. So here's a simple training exercise that you could implement at your next team meeting, your next lunch and learn. So I would call the training topic the 50-30-20 rule, a simple approach to budgeting. And you know what? Don't require your employees to attend this, but you'd be surprised at how many employees would want to attend this. So the objective of the training would be to help your employees create a simple, stress-free budget so they feel more in control with their finances. So I would start with this question. If you had an unexpected $1,000 expense today, how would you handle it? Now, many people don't have savings set aside for emergencies. We want to acknowledge that financial stress is real and that small practical changes can make a big difference. My husband was reading in the book, The Psychology of Money, last night that the average low-income earner spends on average $412 in lottery tickets per year. But also that same group of people, and I'll link this book in the show notes, we love it. That same group of people in that same financial data set says that if they were met with a $400 or more expense that came up, an emergency expense, they couldn't afford it. Literally spending $412 on lottery tickets, therefore don't have the $400 if an expense comes up. Let's say I just got 2 freaking rock chips in my brand new windshield of my vehicle. I just got this brand new vehicle. I've got 2 rock chips in the last 2 months. And so that's $180 for me to get those rock chips fixed because I have Safelite come out to my house because I live in the middle of nowhere. And so if I had that happen twice and those rock chips fixed, there's $400. Like, these emergencies happen to all of us. I don't have to tell you that people's water heaters and things like that go out. And most people do not have the money set aside for that. So let's talk about the 50-30-20 rule. 50% goes to our needs: rent, mortgage, utilities, insurance, groceries, things like that. 30% of our money goes to our wants: dining out, entertainment, and shopping. Now, I have done Gazelle Lifestyle because I'm a Dave Ramsey girly. I've done that for years and years, which is a large reason of how I'm at where I'm at financially today. But Dave Ramsey and that whole process doesn't say spend no money on anything fun. You just budget it. 30% on our wants, 50% on our needs. That leaves us 20% for savings and debt repayment. So we want to build our emergency funds. We want to pay off our loans. We want to start setting money aside for retirement. So we encourage our employees to do a quick assessment. Are they overspending in one category or another? Do they have an emergency fund? If they write out all of where their money is going per month, then is it the 50, 30, 20? So provide them with a quick win. Have them set a simple goal for the next 30 days, whether that's saving $50 into an emergency fund, cutting out one unnecessary expense, or reviewing their current subscriptions. So they write out their budget, they determine maybe where an issue is, then they set that goal for the next 30 days, and that gives them a simple, quick win. They feel like they're starting to get in control of their finances. I'd also recommend that you offer some kind of support during that training. So if your company has financial wellness resources, remind them what's available, whether it's access to financial counseling, a 401k match, or even if it's just an open door policy for conversations with people who are well versed in this area. Make it clear that financial well-being is part of your workplace culture. So, to wrap up, employee well-being isn't just about adding another perk. It's about truly supporting your team in mental, physical, and financial health. If you're looking for a flexible and affordable way to offer benefits, I've got several different ideas for you. We've got great options for small businesses like mine. I'm happy to talk to you more about that. But at a bare minimum, whether you're small or large, and if you're working with a broker, make sure your broker is truly working for you and is giving you those most cost-effective options. And then lastly, financial stress is real, but small steps like the 50, 30, 20 rule can help employees take back control of their finances and feel more secure. If today's episode was helpful, I'd love for you to share it with a fellow business owner who's looking to improve how they support their employees. If you're not already subscribed, we'd love it if you'd hit that follow button so you don't miss next week's episode. I know that helping employees minimize whatever strain they've got, whether it's emotional and mental, physical or financial, can feel like chaos. We're already trying to run our business. This feels like just one more thing. But remember, this work is worth it. So don't waste the chaos. Embrace it. Until next time.